I just finished watching Better Call Saul, which means that I'm completely done, unfortunately, with the Breaking Bad universe. This universe that Vince Gilligan and Peter Gold has built is really, really amazing. It's really off the wall. Really unlike any other show / movie / world that I've seen. And it's literally just Albuquerque, New Mexico. But it takes you to different places. Obviously, the entire universe isn't just set within Albuquerque. It brings you all over the place. You go to Albuquerque, you go to Mexico, you go to Alaska, you go to Nebraska. You go to so many different places, and all of the stories, all the interconnected pieces just fit so beautifully. And at the end of it, you really have an overarching story that includes so many different characters, so many different plot lines, so many different character arcs, and it's just a thing of beauty. It's just a thing of beauty. So I'm just gonna talk about it. I don't really have much notes here. I don't have any notes here. I just really like this universe a lot. To people that meet me, to even a lot of my closest friends, y'all know how hard I go for this show. And honestly, the inspiration for this channel, I'll tell you right now, the inspiration for this channel, I do have other YouTube channels, right? The original idea for Good Watch was originally Go Watch. So my intention was to just make small little videos imploring people to go watch stuff that I, recommended. And the first two videos, I can't remember which one I did first, but the first two videos, because these are two of my favorite TV shows ever, were Atlanta, which I'm definitely going to talk about coming sometime within the distant future, and Breaking Bad. I made two videos called Go Watch Atlanta and Go Watch Breaking Bad, and ultimately Go Watch became Good Watch, and now we're here today. And so I feel like this is kind of a full circle thing, because being that I just finished the Better Call Saul, which is absolutely amazing, I've just been so enamored by this universe today. I even rewatched a couple episodes of Breaking Bad. I rewatched El Camino. I even watched the behind the scenes of El Camino. I literally drowned myself in this world, and it was beautiful. It has been a beautiful time, just reliving certain moments, re-understanding certain moments, seeing what happened to Jimmy. I mean, like I said, if you have not seen any of this, definitely go watch. I'll say watch Breaking Bad, then El Camino, then Better Call Saul. At least that's the order that I watched it in. I don't believe I watched Breaking Bad. No. Yeah, I binged Breaking Bad the first time I watched it. I didn't watch it while it was out. I started Better Call Saul while it was out and fell off, obviously, which is why I'm now talking about it, even though it ended a few years back. But it's just wow, there's so many moments that I went back to in Breaking Bad after watching Better Call Saul, and just seeing how these seeds were planted so long ago, and just the storytelling aspect by Vince and Peter. And obviously, they're not the only ones that wrote and directed and made these stories, but it's really just their team and just how effective and how intentional they were in just making every part of the story make sense. And the one moment I think of is so I went back after finishing Better Call Saul. I watched the episode of Better Call Saul in Breaking Bad. Even just the moment where they decide to kidnap Saul and force him to represent Badger, and just that moment where he speaks about it's Ignacio, did Lalo send you? All right, at the time that might have just been a throwaway line. I don't know, there might have just been a random line just to give his characters some type of history and some type of context. But the fact that you're able to actually see who Ignacio is, see who Lalo is, see why he would be scared that somebody from his team would send for him, just how all the pieces just fit together, it's so beautifully. Even moments in Better Call Saul that within the show itself, they refer back to past seasons, and they flash back to certain moments in Breaking Bad, and they flash back to moments that you realize happened, but it gives new context. The scene where Saul and Walter are waiting to get picked up, They did they called the vacuum guy. Saul goes to Walt's school. You find that moment has some different context, and that's really like the initial. It's not the inciting incident of the series, but it's what brings Walter's journey into a whole different echelon and brings him into Gus's field of view, and just everything, every piece of it is cohesive, and every piece of it just makes the overall story so much better. These are two different shows. I think I like Breaking Bad more, and that's not to take anything away from Better Call Saul, because the last 2 seasons of Better Call Saul are honestly some of the best episodes of television that I've seen in a while. The entire show, to me, works. It would be pretty easy for somebody to call it boring, which I low-key thought for the first couple seasons. It was a bit slow, but you have to go through that history and that context of who Jimmy is, why he decided, like even how he goes from Jimmy McGill to Saul Goodman. You have to watch the first 5 seasons to really understand why he does that. His relationship with Chuck, his relationship with Kim, his relationship with Howard. At first glance, these characters kind of just seem like unimportant, or the lawyer stuff. There's a lot of lawyer jargon that may lose some people with Better Call Saul, but it with him, it's just so much irony, and I think that's what works so well with both shows. You have a high school teacher who's a chemist and a scientist, and he has cancer, but he resorts to making drugs to pay for his cancer, and he feels that nobody, knows him or cares about him in the grand scheme. So he wants to make a name for himself, basically. And he wants to be remembered, but literally gets remembered for being one of the worst criminals of all time. He wants to make everybody's life. He intends to make shit better with what he's doing, and then ultimately actually ruins everybody's life by the end of the show. And kind of similar to Jimmy, in his own way, he's a lawyer, and he's literally under oath, and he's literally practicing something that requires a good-willed and intentioned human being, but he's also a con artist, so it just works so well, and it creates so many different situations that they get themselves in that are seriously hilarious, entertaining, heartbreaking. It's just such a beautiful world, and the storytelling, like I said, is immaculate. Like I said, I like Breaking Bad more, I think, just because, well, for one, I have watched that show more. I think I watched that show maybe 2-3 times, might be a drag, but definitely I've watched it at least twice. And Better Call Saul I just finished, and I've tried to finish that show for a while, but I really just had to get through those initial story beats to really get invested in the story. But yeah, and then even with El Camino, you get to see where Jesse ends up and how his story goes, and that movie allows you to look at the end of the series in a different way, which is something that they said in the behind the scenes that was really interesting. I think the flashbacks of this universe too are so well done, because it's not just just going back for the sake of nostalgia, or the sake of, okay, let's just show Walter White and Jesse Pinkman because the audience wants to see them, or let's show a flashback of Walter and Skyler buying the house, or Walter and Gretchen and gray matter, that whole situation. These aren't just flashbacks for no reason. They actually give more context to the story, and it allows you to listen and view the story in a different light, especially the ones in Better Call Saul, because you already have Breaking Bad's context in the back of your mind while watching it, so it's just so interesting. And yeah, I mean, there's certain aspects of Better Call Saul that I like better than Breaking Bad, obviously, but it's they both work well with each other, while doing their own things. They're not the same show at all, definitely not the same show. So if you're going into Better Call Saul expecting Breaking Bad, you're gonna be disappointed. Not entirely, because it's still the same team that works on the show, but the intentions of both shows are different. You're still able to view the story in interesting light just because of how much story there already is going into Better Call Saul. So yeah, I think, the flashbacks in general, even with El Camino, going from present to the past with Jesse, before and after the finale of the show, you're able to kind of just interpret things differently with these flashbacks. And I think that's just a really good way of how Vince Gilligan, obviously, like I said, Vince Gilligan and his team, let me say, and Peter Gold and everybody that's involved with writing and creating these storylines, because it's not ever just one or two people. It's masterful, and it just has me thinking a lot. It's just so much to think about, so much to chew on after finishing this entire universe. I don't believe that there needs to be anything else from this universe. I think these 3 pieces of media definitely do the job, creating a world, creating a story that hits so many different places. And it's 11 seasons and a 2-hour movie's worth of content, so it is a lot to chew on at the end of it. But oh my goodness, if you have not seen this, if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, start with that and then get into the epilogue with El Camino, and then Better Call Saul. You see what happens with Saul Goodman, Jimmy McGill, his whole story before the show starts, after the show ends, and it just gives you even more context to what happens in Breaking Bad, which is amazing because, like, even after Breaking Bad and El Camino, the last episode of Better Call Saul still gives you more information about Walter and Jesse and the characters that you already that you thought you already knew so well. And I think that's just beautiful storytelling and world building. It's amazing what we have with this one. The Breaking Bad universe is an immaculate watch. Like I said, all these 3 pieces of media are different. Breaking Bad has its moments. A lot of people say that it's slow, and I always tell people that you gotta kind of get through the first 2 seasons, even though the first 2 seasons are definitely important, obviously. Better Call Saul, I'll probably say you have to get through maybe the first 4 maybe, to really get into some crazy story. I mean, the story is crazy throughout all of these seasons, but I think that peak Gilligan that you're seeking, or that you wanted from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, you're gonna have to wait just a little bit longer. But once Better Call Saul peaks, I promise you it peaks. You know what I'm saying? It gets up there. But you need all of that context and all of that information to understand how we get to certain points with Lalo, Salamanca, learning about Gus. I haven't even mentioned Gus this entire time. Mike. Oh my gosh, there's so many characters. The Marie, you know what I'm saying? You find out what happens to Skyler. Kim is another character that Waterworks, which is the second to last episode of Better Call Saul, broke my heart. And her character is so there's so many dimensions to her character too, because she literally just wants to do good, but she has this other side to her where it's like, and I think Jimmy just brings out that other side where it's just like she just wants to have fun and just fuck around, and you see how that kind of ends up turning into chaos for the both of them. Like, it's just so much to unpack and talk about. I'm late to the party, but I don't care. I just finished it up. Better Call Saul is a great watch. Like, I didn't want to make, honestly, an individual thing, like one video for Breaking Bad, one video for El Camino, one video for Better Call Saul, because honestly, this entire universe is just worth talking about at large and unpacking. And you know, it's just so much fun to you know, think about. And I'm just very glad that I finally finished it. There's a lot of shows that I start and I do not finish, so I'm getting better with that. I'm gonna talk about more TV shows. I'm glad that this is high-key the first television series. I guess it's a 2-in-1 or 3-in-1 technically, if you know I talk about El Camino. You know, this is the first, you know, piece of TV media that I'm talking about on this channel, which is, you know, very, very high accord. So yeah, if you are a fan of beautiful storytelling, great acting, just long-term storytelling, if you're a fan of, if you like flashbacks, if you like non-sequential storytelling where the timelines kind of jump and go all over the place. Shit, if you like, like prime Marvel, like, not to bring Marvel into everything, I don't mean to do that, but just the interconnectivity of stories. If you like stories that kind of overlap and stories that merge well together, that connect well, that's basically what I'm trying to say. Just different stories that connect well under the same umbrella. This is definitely one for you. This universe is amazing, and I will recommend it forever. So yeah, Breaking Bad, El Camino, Better Call Saul. Give yourself like a month to finish all of them. Some of y'all might finish it in a week, honestly. Some of y'all people be watching TV shows like nothing. It'd be taking me long times to some very long times to finish these television shows, but I'm glad I got this one done. So yeah, thank you for watching this one. Go check these beautiful TV shows and this beautiful movie out. This is great filmmaking. This is great, television. Just great storytelling, great production, great, world building, production design, set design, hair and makeup, costume, like the sound, music, lighting, anything that requires a great and successful show or movie is done here. So I recommend it. Go lose yourself into the Breaking Bad universe. And when you're done, holla at me in the comments. Let me know what you think. I hope you like it, because if you don't like it at the end of watching 11 seasons and a 2-hour movie's worth of content, I'm sorry for wasting your time. I will try to recommend better things. Definitely tune into the next video. Thank you so much for the support. The Breaking Bad universe is an amazing watch, and I highly recommend it once again. Until the next one, see you later. Peace out.